So, I want to share some thoughts about freedom in America. As an outside observer, I am a Jamaican American person. So, as an outside observer, not exactly new to American history, but certainly, not well educated about it, uh, it seems like the word freedom means different things to different people, depending on who is using it and who should theoretically have the rights to it in this country. So Jamaicans have not had the same long history of slavery and white dominance that people in America have had to contend with, right? We had Black leaders and we had our freedom much earlier than perhaps the African American community did. So while I am now a Black American person, because I am a citizen and I am a Black person, I don't have the shared history with the African American community in the way that some people may want to assume. So, stepping into this culture, I'm seeing a number of Southern folks with Confederate flags talking about how much they value their freedom. In a moment where we're all observing that Black people in America have historically not been able to enjoy that right to freedom. First, because of slavery, then because of segregation, then because of the high rates of incarceration and systemic issues like racial profiling and over-policing, also being excluded from job opportunities that would increase or improve their stature in life, if you want to call it that, simply because of the color of their skin. So with the Southerners on one side extolling their right to freedom, and Black people on the other side still trying to establish theirs, the word itself starts to take on a new shade, right? Again, to me as an outsider, it seems like one of those kind of dog whistles we keep hearing about. They are free, the people with the Confederate flags, right? They're free to promote what is in actuality racist iconography. That flag represented the South and their determination to keep Black people in slavery, while Black people are vilified for simply pointing out that their lives matter, right? BLM is about the right to freedom for Black people. So they're free to walk around openly with guns, loaded guns, while Black children are killed for even playing with toy ones. They are free to use the quote unquote justice system to call police on Black people doing mundane things, knowing fully well it may end up in that person's death. Although their families also deal with addiction and drunkenness and delinquency and welfare issues, this person is Black. So by default, they must also deal with these things, right? That's the assumption, not the truth. And while they're, the people who are on the wrong side of this argument, as far as I'm concerned, while their families are also burdened by these things, the addiction, the drunkenness, the delinquency, these things are inconveniences for them and their families. For Black people with these same afflictions, very unfortunate afflictions, they are somehow deserving of jail and murder by cop because they have these same issues. So it feels like the freedom that these Confederate flag, Confederate culture loving individuals are clinging on to is a freedom that they believe makes them better than the people they currently otherize. It's a religious freedom that allows them to practice their Christian religions, discriminate based on their Christian religion, but should not allow non-Christians or even Christians with a different worldview to practice their religions. It is a freedom that allows them to irresponsibly jeopardize the lives of others around them because they choose not to do something as simple as to put a piece of cloth over their face when they're out in public, in the service of saving hundreds of thousands of lives. And that's too much of an imposition on their freedom to be worth even considering. It's a freedom that says, although the greatness of this country comes from its democracy and its diversity and its freedom and liberty and justice for all actually refers to the kind of all from Animal Farm. So if you didn't read that book, it's a book about these animals that are on a farm and they take over the farm, kick out the humans. And The most powerful line comes toward the end of the book, right? The pigs who took over the farm became drunk on the power that they gained, so much so that they began subjugating the other animals on the farm the same way that the humans had done before. And in the end, they say, yes, 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 all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. So even while we should be living in this great democracy, it's the people who talk about freedom the most who strive the hardest to suppress the votes, to silence dissent, to ensure that every American's vote or voice is not equal, to take power. They appoint leaders, right? Rather than respecting communities and allowing them to select their own. These people would prefer to stack the deck and not allow Americans to select their leader as a whole based on one person, one vote. Rather, they are clinging to an arcane system that gives unbalanced power to a group of states who gained this power because they wanted to hold on to slavery, and so that their freedom to oppress could not be fully challenged. That is where the Electoral College came from. And that is why people are still trying to hold on to that imbalanced power, as far as I'm concerned. It's an opinion. It is, however, that same freedom that we all strive for and believe we have the right to. It is that freedom that has allowed people who have been oppressed so long to be rising up like they are in this moment. It is that freedom that allows me to live in this country, supporting all good people of any race and every background while I'm here, and supporting the immigrants with whom I share heritage wherever they are in the world. It is the aspiration toward that ubiquitous freedom, the freedom that we should all have to respect each other and ourselves, that makes us love this country. I believe this is a moment for all of us to learn about each other and from each other. For us in the Caribbean community to learn about African American history, and to learn about the Confederacy and the Civil Rights Movement and what our brothers and sisters from the African American community have had to live through. It is a time for all of us of every race to let go of the type of freedom for ourselves that ignores the right to freedom of others. Now, I don't know that I have a conclusion or a solution in this particular stream of consciousness, just a wish that we could all respect each other's freedoms and that we would choose to use the precious power of freedom in respect of each other and for the greater good of each other, rather than to advance only our own objectives and to tear each other down. That's all.